My superpower is energy and optimism. It just is. That's the thing. And so, I would have real estate agents call me and be like, Keith, I'm going into a listing appointment. Pump me up. Give me a pep talk. And I'm like, okay, let's go.
What's up, friends? Welcome to the RE Junkies podcast, where we supply your regular dose of all things real estate. Make sure you get your weekly dose by subscribing to the RE Junkies podcast on your favorite RE Junkies platform or YouTube. I'm Brooks O'Hearn, joined by my co-host Kaiten Murphy, and today we have our friend Keith Collins joining us. Keith, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how are you? Thank you.
No, thank you. So I connected with Keith through mutual social media friends, actually. I feel like the world of social media.
Instagram.
Yeah, I know. It's getting smaller and smaller. Like, I haven't actually even met these people in person yet, but I feel like I've been friends with them my whole life. And I feel the same way about you, Keith. So we connected through Instagram. If you have not already followed Keith on Instagram, or you don't already follow him, then we're going to drop all of his social media handles below. So make sure you guys connect with him, because he drops so much knowledge. I swear I learn something new from you every day. But
yes, that's the goal.
Good.
I mean, you're the target audience, so that's perfect.
Good. So obviously you are a certified mortgage planner. You've been in the business, 18 years?
18 years.
Beautiful.
Wow.
I know you've been named for one of the 40 most influential mortgage professionals. I know that you're also in the top 1% of residential mortgage originators for like 6 years. So Keith is rocking it. Keith, where are you based out of, so people know, and where are you also licensed?
So I'm based in Nashville, but I kind of work two markets. So about 2 years ago, I packed everything up from California and relocated my family out to Nashville. So I'm still really involved in the California market, just because I'd done home loans there for 16 years and really built my business there. And then I'm out here. My kind of little thing is like I'm an 18-year veteran as hungry as a rookie out here in Nashville, trying to create opportunities in business. Yeah. Licensed in California, Idaho, Kentucky, Mississippi, Tennessee, working on Alabama, Florida, and one other state. I forget.
You need North Carolina.
Yeah. I mean, I would do North Carolina if there's opportunities up there for sure.
I can tell you there's opportunity here.
Get him out to Colorado too.
Colorado? Okay. I actually have had 2 or 3 people request me to get into Colorado recently as well. It's actually a lot. So we have to do continuing education in each state that we're in every single year. And it's anywhere from 2 to 4 years. Plus we have to pay for licensing every year. So, it's $500 per state per year, plus 2 to 4 hours of ongoing education. So you kind of have to look at it and be like, it's not really worth one loan, but if there's, 4 or 5, then it can be worth it.
Yeah,
That's
for
sure. That's good to know.
Yep.
So did you start your professional career in mortgages, or did you do something prior?
I kind of fell into it. I think everybody falls into mortgage. Like, I don't know if we get out of school, like we wake up, you ask your kids, what do you want to do for a living? And unless you're in mortgage, you're like, I want to do what daddy does. They're like, that's all kinds of really cool stuff. No. So it's kind of a cool story. I'll try to make it quick. So I married my high school sweetheart, took her to junior prom. We've known each other for years. And we were in Northern California. My dad, I was bartending and waiting tables at 20, 21, 22. And I didn't have a heck of a lot going on. I went to college to play soccer. And once that ended, I kind of quit college. And so my dad had been a mortgage broker for like 20 years in Southern California, super successful. And so he offered me the opportunity to go down there and learn from him. And, I like my dad, and I've seen success that he'd had. And I'm like, okay, cool, let's do it. So I call Noelle, tell her, hey, I'm moving down to LA. I'll send you a plane ticket if you want to come. And we had a coffee a week later, and we were married 6 months after that phone call.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I mean, like, we had history, right? We dated off and on for like 4 years. I met her when she was 15. I was 16. So that phone call kind of changed everything. And so she was in this 2004. She's in residential real estate at a new home builder, making, $200,000 a year at 21 years old. Right. Yeah. And so she's making really good money, but I'm bartending and she's in real estate, and we're like passing each other in the night.
Yeah.
And she said, it was awesome. She said, I don't care. You don't need to make money for a year. Just get a career, 9 to 5, and let's go figure it out, and I'll support you. And it was perfect. It was the perfect relationship for that. And so I jumped into mortgage. Because I was going to go do it with my dad, and my wife was in real estate. It seemed to make sense. So I decided to do it here, and that was 18 years ago.
Wow. That's cool. That's the kind of
Yeah.
partnership you need.
Right. It's been great. I mean, she's my rock. She supported me when we decided to transition her out of working, which was amazing. She actually came to work for me for about 2 years.
Cool.
And she's the best employee that I've ever had. And I constantly try to get her back, but she's permanently retired. She's not coming back to work.
Well, good for her. Good for her. It sounds like she already put in her time, right?
Yeah, she did. She says she's the best investor on the planet, and that was related to the investment in me. I'm like, okay, all right, I'll give you that.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
So you've got your lending side of the business, but I also know that you invest in real estate as well, and you're kind of building out a portfolio there. So let's talk a little bit about that too. Where or when did you start kind of building that investment portfolio? Because I want to kind of bring all these pieces together,
Sure.
full circle for our listeners.
You know, it's a funny thing, and I actually had this conversation with a client last night about this. I feel like people take 2-3 years to buy their first, and as soon as they buy their first, like 6 months later, they have like 5. We have this big mental block about buying our first, and I think we make it so big, and then we do it, and we're like, oh, that actually wasn't that hard to replicate. And that's kind of the beauty of real estate. So I had that block. But I think I did it at the right time. So we bought our first, and we can come back to this deal. It was obviously the best deal, but that was 2000. I think it was 2011, 2012. We bought our first home in Sacramento, $155,000 short sale. And it's been great. And then since then we've relocated everything from California into Memphis. So we have 15 single families in Memphis, all cash flow, and they've done really well. We've been in Memphis for about 5 or 6 years. And then I also do some hard money lending too. So that's cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You're just doing it all. I love it.
Well, I mean, it's congruent, right? I feel like we create all these businesses, and at times the businesses we try to create take us away from what we do. And so I try to, if I'm going to create something, it's got to not take away from what allows me to do the other stuff. And so, the hard money stuff, it just comes across the desk. People need money quick. And, I mean, right now you can get, 10 to 14% on a hard money loan with 2 points. And you're not necessarily taking advantage of someone. They need the money. They want it. They appreciate the opportunity. It's great returns.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I know how to underwrite a file. I know how to underwrite a file, right? From a loan standpoint. So it makes sense. Why not do that if you have the money?
You're building on the same vertical. Like I think you just hit the nail on the head. A lot of entrepreneurs get that, shiny object syndrome. We all have it. But building within the same vertical, like, hey, I already know how to underwrite. So why don't I just underwrite a slightly different file or do something? And I mean, you mentioned, I used to get people all the time that asked about hard money loans on our investment properties. And they're like, oh my gosh, you're paying 8 to 10 to 12%. And I was like, yeah, all day long, like no questions asked. I'm paying that. And now now the traditional mortgage rate flirted with 8% there for a little bit. Right. And I just had to laugh. I'm like, you guys are signing up for that for 30 years. I signed up for it for 12 months and flipped a property with it.
Right. Yeah. And it's actually a lot, you look at a second mortgage right now. I mean, those are anywhere from, 8 to 14% on a second. So, the hard money loan is actually not that hard. That's what we call it, I guess,
Right.
But yeah, you make a really good point there. I mean, it's, Nashville, we need a really good deli shop out here. We just don't. And I'm like, man, we should open up a beach hut out here. I don't know if you know what beach hut is, but you open up a beach out here. I'm like, no, I shouldn't, because I don't know anything about making sandwiches. I need to go do more real estate. And I agree with that. I think sometimes we think we have this great idea, but if it's not congruent with our business, it's going to pull us away from the good stuff that's already happening.
All right. Well, you just brought me back down to earth. I've been wanting to move to a completely different market and open up a coffee wine shop. And so maybe I just shouldn't do that.
Maybe when you don't need the money, right? Like I would love to open up a wine bar or a whiskey bar or something like that. But I think that's more of a passion project than something that, that's an investment. But not to say that people don't make money doing it. It just, I don't know. Who knows? It could be a limiting belief, but it just doesn't make sense for me.
Yep. I love it. Stay in your lane. Stay in your zone of genius.
Own it and dominate it and make as much money doing it as possible.
Yeah. Which I was going to say, I think you're doing beautifully. So tell us a little bit about like what you're obviously a content creator as well. You're putting out a lot of really, really great content. What does a typical, I don't even know that you could even say typical day in real estate look like, but like, what does a typical day look for you? A typical week look like for you?
Yeah, so I'm the most ADD person you'll ever meet. I chase squirrels all day long, so I have to actually build structure into my day and my week. Otherwise, nothing gets done. So I start the day at 4:45 every single day. That's a great habit for me. I get up, get into Word for a little bit. I kind of clear emails. We live on property, so get the girls up. I get the girls up in the morning. And mom gets them ready for school, but I always wake them up and throw the frisbee for the dog, hit the gym, and then I'm usually in the office by about 9. But that's my morning routine. But for me, it's theme days from a mortgage standpoint. Like, Monday is something, Tuesday something different, Wednesday something, Thursday something, Friday something. Trying to stay very, very specific. I time block it all, and I really just kind of grind at it. I have the luxury of not having to work late really anymore, and it's different in mortgage. I mean, we can build barriers around kind of what we do a little bit, because we have that kind of banking thing. I hate to say it, like banking hours, but we kind of have that, so it is easier on our end to build that kind of structure in. I don't have clients need to see properties at 7:00 at night, so I get that. And I try to be sensitive with my agent partners, but I don't know if that answers the question there, but for me, I mean, if you looked at my calendar, it's very rigid.
Yeah.
And like the biggest argument my wife and I have is like, it wasn't on the calendar, babe. Like I'm sorry. Like it wasn't on the calendar. I don't have it booked. I have something else.
Well, I attended, I think it was like a planning workshop or something with you at one point, and I was actually really blown away by the way that you did have your theme days, or you blocked off, half days for this, and this, because I have tried to time block a million times, and it's not for me, especially because I kind of am at the mercy of clients a lot when I'm showing houses and things like that. Something comes up, I got to go show it so that we can get an offer in. But I love the idea of theme days. And so I've kind of implemented that into my business too, where like Mondays are always generally a slower day. So that means it's going to be back end, office docs, things like that I need to catch up on over the weekend, and it goes on and on. So I really love the idea of theme days. If time blocking doesn't work great for somebody.
Yeah. And I think two things into that real quick. I don't know if we want to go how far down the rabbit hole time blocking we want to go down, but there's two things that I do is, I call it First Fridays. So the first Friday of every single month I don't work. My calendar is blocked off from breakfast to lunch. My team knows about it. My agents know about it. My wife knows about it. And it's just business planning. So I review the previous month. I think about the head and about the month ahead, and then what projects need to be pushed forward. It's just focused on that. And then 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. is on time on Wednesdays. So I block that off on Wednesdays just to okay, it's midweek. Like I don't have anything scheduled. What do I need to do I'm in the office. What do I need to do? And then the only other thing I would say too is, from a real estate standpoint, I don't know like the full audience of this, but real estate is super reactionary. And we get lulled into this false sense of we're actually doing work when we're reacting, but we're not. We're reacting to work that we've already done, right? Yep. So we have to look at when are we reacting most, and that was for me too. Is I'm always reacting in the afternoon, right? And any updated approval letter, or underwriting condition or something like that. So for me, I leave my afternoons open. I time block my mornings because I can control my morning. I have to have flexibility in the afternoon, and so that I had to look at it that way too. And I think that sometimes, I'm not trying to jump into like a coaching thing with you, but I had people talk to me about that, like, oh, I can't do it. Like, it just doesn't work for me. And I'm like, well, look at your schedule and then see within your schedule, maybe where it allows for some of that focused time, because it is important.
Yeah. No, please coach me. I love that. And, even as you said that.
Please coach me.
No, just kidding. But I've also found that my productivity is much higher in the morning. I start to just lose so much focus during the afternoon. And that's when I need to be out doing other things. So I love that. And I'm going to start time blocking my mornings.
I love it. There it is.
There it is. Thank you. All right. We can pack up.
Done deal.
Okay. Anyway, let's do a little bit of a shift. So we all know, entrepreneurs, and especially in real estate. And just so you know, our audience is very much it's real estate professionals as a whole. So it's real estate agents, real estate investors, could be mortgage, brokers as well. It's real estate professionals who are looking to kind of level up their game. We really want it to be kind of this one-stop shop. And in that, there's a lot of ebbs and flows that happen throughout real estate, that happen throughout the career. So we didn't want to just be the highlight reel, because there's a lot of really good lessons and some gold that you can pull out from those lower moments. So, not everyone has like a pivotal, this was my bottom of the barrel kind of thing, but there's certainly some lower points or some really like big moments of stress. So do you have one of those that that comes to mind that you can kind of speak on?
Yeah, I would say two things to that. I think sometimes we have these small events that we make bigger, and we make them bigger because we're not listening to our body and kind of go in 90-day sprints. So everything's a 90-day sprint, and then I pause. And so sometimes I think we get confused the idea that like I'm in this, pit of despair or this hole, or like my motivation's low. I just don't think that we can be motivated for like 6 months stretch of just grinding the whole time. And so, for me, I say I'm up at 4:45, but if there's a Thursday, every couple of weeks and I feel like, gosh, I just want to sleep in, like I need to listen to my body and allow that to happen. So sometimes the thing is we get into these little moments where we need rest or need to relax or not need to be on like we think that we need to be on. And it's realizing you're in it, put a time limit on it, and then get out of it. Mm-hmm. So the problem is I think sometimes we don't get out of it quick enough. For me, I don't know if I've had, a big moment, but the late 2022 is tough for sure. I mean, just this, and it was, you're all coming off the back of 2020, 2021 and early 2022, where you feel like everything you touch turns into gold. And then all of a sudden you go in a 6-month stretch where rates go from 2% to, 8%, and business like came to a halt. I mean, I grew my business in 2007, 2008, 2009, like I increased my business, and I had a significant drop in 2022 from 2021. And that kind of messes with your mind a little bit. So, there was a moment where one, I was just kind of like, oh, I'll just take the break. And then two, like, then you start kind of question yourself with the business. And so, like I said, I don't know if I've had that, kind of bottom of the barrel moment, but I will say I had a few pity patty parties in, late September, October of 2022. And, man, my wife, she pulls me right back, and, sometimes it's like a slap across the face. Sometimes it's the nurturing, but she knows what she needs to say to kind of get me back and motivated. But I don't want to say it was necessarily a super low point, but yeah, I mean, October, November this year, it's tough. It was a really tough, because, we in the mortgage industry, and I think there's a lot of mortgage people understand this. I mean, gosh, 2020, late 2020, all of 2021, like we hired like the Yankees, and it still wasn't enough, right? Like you still couldn't fill the capacity that you had. And then the market just grinded to a halt. And now I'm laying off all these people that like helped us get through. So it was rough. It was definitely rough. So that was it, Keith, I guess.
Keith, let me ask you, as you, I got two questions kind of to bounce around between your mindset. One, kind of walk us through the mindset there of laying off, having to lay off those people. And for those business owners that are listening, like there's no magical way to get through it, but like, what are some things that how did you work with yourself and make that maybe a little bit easier? And then I'll get to my second question next.
Yeah. So, I mean, first, like, I don't think when someone's being fired or laid off, it should be a surprise. So, open communication with the entire group about transparency and numbers and what needs to be done needs to be had. That's just, you never want a firing or a layoff to be a surprise. If it is, that's leadership. That's not the business or reaction or anything. That's poor leadership, in my opinion. And then the second part is you have to understand that you're doing it for the rest of the employees. If the business, if you don't make decisions, quickly, not too quick, but quickly, it can affect the rest of the business that will then make more cuts happen. And so that was the thing that I had to tell myself, is it's like, yeah, I'm like, we have to lay off these 3 people, but I'm literally protecting these other jobs. I don't know if that's what I told myself to feel better about it, but that is the reality of it. If we would have kept going down that road, we may not be able to open up doors. And I'm not saying it was that bad, but that's what you're kind of going through, I think, when you're laying off in those times. And the mortgage industry is brutal. I mean, the swings in hiring are rough, and this has been one of the worst for sure in 2022.
Yeah. I mean, it's all demand driven. And I know some lenders here that, I mean, everything grinded to a halt, and all of a sudden it was like, lenders needed you all of a sudden. And those
that was an interesting one for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Those that didn't take care of relationships over the last few years, we're definitely awestruck. So my second question was, going back to when you were when you were with your wife and transitioning from being a bartender. She's making great money in real estate. You're transitioning, and she's like, "Hey, I'll support you. You just figure something out." What was your mindset like making that shift? Because some people would feel a ton of pressure, and other people might try to freeload that for a little longer than needed. Obviously, there's this very special relationship with you and your wife, and the support you both have for each other. But how was the mindset? How was that transition?
Yeah, I mean, she was extremely supportive in that, so there wasn't a lot of pressure put on me, which was great. But I mean, we got to talk about what was going on there. I mean, I was bartending. I would literally come home and just hand her my tips. I mean, it was, so the transition to something different was something different. But I think there's a couple things that happened there. One, no matter what I've done, I've always worked hard. I don't know where it comes from, but I mean, I was a barista at Starbucks, and I busted my butt. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It matters how you do it, I think. And so work ethic was always something that I had, even bartending or being a barista or working construction. It was just something. And so transitioning over to this is I was going to work hard and make it work. I believe people create opportunities. Opportunities don't create people. And so there is, but people come into your life. And so there was another person that came into my life at that time that I really think helped me as well. But I don't think that he would have taken a chance on me if he didn't see something in me. And that's kind of where I say people create the opportunities. But I had the opportunity to work for a guy that was one of the top 50 originators in the United States the year prior to him hiring me. And he coached me for 5 years, one-on-one, 4 or 5 hours a day. I'd be on a call. He would be listening. Like, we would have dual headsets. He would tell me, okay, I would have said this differently. I would have said this is that. And then vice versa. And it was like, if I would say, top 5 most influential people in my life, I mean, he's in there still today. And so, seeing there's a big thing of belief there too. And I think maybe I'm going off on a tangent here, and I apologize, but we got to believe that we can do it, and seeing somebody do it already it helps that belief. It's one thing having someone say, go do this. Another one, seeing somebody doing it and showing you what they've done. You're like, okay, I can do that too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hard work and the right people in your life.
Yeah. I mean, that's a strong duo. I love your mindset. I love the way that you think about things. And, even going back, one of the first things that dawned on me when you were like, well, I really haven't had that big of a low point. It's because of your mindset too, because someone who is in that exact same scenario, we could easily be, and that's not to discount that it could have been a very low point for them. But I think that from what I'm gathering from you, you protect your mindset like lock and chain. What do you do? Do you do any practices or anything like that to kind of keep that positive mindset or that framework intact? Is there anything that you could, offer?
There's two things. There's two things that if I don't do them, my day is different. One, I start every day with gratitude. I actually get down on my knees, pray to the Lord, and thank them for everything in my life. And I literally go through it, like my house, my savings account, my kids, right? The health that we have, my car. I'll literally go through the same thing every single day, things that I'm thankful for. And then the second thing is in the gym. Our bodies are in pendulums. We are made to move. And our energy is vastly different when we don't move. And so for me, I have to be in the gym. It helps me manage my stress. It gives me more energy. It makes me feel good about myself. And I accomplish something in the morning. Everybody wants to get up in the morning and do something. And it's kind of like, snoozing. I really think that that's a mental thing there, right? When you hit snooze, you're almost kind of defeating yourself every day. There's this Navy SEAL. He's a general, whatever. He does this whole talk. Maybe you've seen it. But he's giving a speech to a graduating class, and he literally says, make your bed every day. Right. And that's his whole thing, is make your bed every day. And the reason it is to get to do something, accomplish something every morning. And now you just build upon that. And so for me, it's, I feel way better. I have gotten the AM workout done, and it carries me through the day. And my energy and my day there's two different days if I work out and if I don't. So those are, I think, the two habits for me that keep me positive.
Yeah. And that is not the first time that we've heard those two things in conjunction either. So it must be a real thing.
It is.
Oh, we know firsthand it's a very real thing.
Yeah.
It's I mean, you couldn't be more right. The difference in the day, the difference in starting your day with intention. It's a lot of people. I laugh sometimes when I hear myself say it. I'm like people that are outside of entrepreneurship think we're freaking quacks, but
They do.
works.
It's really easy. Like I don't have to have a good mentality to come in and punch a check at the IRS every day. Like I don't have to have that. I just need to freaking poke at a computer. Like it's different.
Mm-hmm.
The world's not against me at the IRS. Well, maybe, but
I was gonna say.
Yeah, they kind of are.
Yeah, they actually kind of don't like
that's you. That's like working in lost luggage. You don't have a good day.
No, there it is. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, one thing that you said too was that you actually grew your business during 2007, 2008. So what were some of the things that contributed to your success then?
I think there was a bit naive, right? Like I didn't know what I didn't know. And and so I just went every day. Every day was a new day, and you're making money, and you just don't know. You have no, 25, 26 years old, making a couple $100,000 a year. Like you feel like you're on, you overcome anything. And so I think it was a bit of that, but it's just getting into routines. And like I said, during that time I had that guy, and he was telling me the things that I needed to do, and I went in and did them, and they worked. And I'm like, oh, that was easy. I could do that again. But it's the repetition of being creative, consistent, and real estate's easy, right? And I think a lot of other businesses might be like that, but real estate at the end of the day, it's a people business, and we have to have relationships with people. And it's continuing to develop those relationships. As soon as we take the brakes off, those relationships can be impacted. It's like a relationship with your wife. Like we have to invest in that relationship, or the relationship's going to suffer. And so we have to invest in relationships with other people. And so for me, it was just constantly trying to invest in people and provide opportunity and be somebody. My superpower is energy and optimism. It just is. That's the thing. And so, I would have real estate agents call me and be like, Keith, I'm going into a listing appointment. Pump me up. Give me a pep talk. And I'm like, okay, let's go, And so everybody was all down, and I was excited about the opportunities in front of me, because my previous job was bartending and I didn't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So, I think it was just you want to be around people that have a good attitude. I don't want to be around crappy people. And there was a lot of crappy people in 2007, 2008, because they're all bummed out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I can definitely speak to your energy and your optimism. That's why I love to consume your content, because I'm like, I come out a different person on the other side of watching those videos. Let's go.
Thank you.
Okay. I also want to touch on starting over in a new market. This is something that I think about a lot. I always like to kind of play that out in my head. If I were to move, what would I do to start over? Because, I like to help use that to train new agents as well. So tell us a little bit about starting over in a new market, some of the things that you think helped lead to your success, things like that.
I mean, it was strategic, but at the same, like I wouldn't have done it if COVID didn't happen. I was a guy that, every customer came in and met with me face to face and brought in the docs. And, we went through a very specific formatted consultation, and I'd done it for years, because that's how I was told to do it. And so, I kind of thought I wanted to get out of California, but I never thought I could because of that business model. And then COVID hits, and we're essential services in California. I'm in the office every single day, but no one's coming in. And then grandma all of a sudden's on Zoom. And we started kind of realizing that I think that this business can be a little bit more mobile than we think it is. And then all of a sudden, Pinterest is shutting down their operation, and going fully remote. And so it's an expected thing. So my business, we were lucky in that, and like if I was a real estate agent, I think that would be a lot harder, but I have some really good ideas on how a real estate agent could do it. I've not seen anybody do it yet. So I had that working for me. I also had 16 years of relationships in California, and I was in a refinance boom. So, I kind of looked at this and I was like, gosh, if I don't do any purchase loans for the next year, I'm going to have my refinances, and I bet on myself. I believe I can create new relationships in Tennessee. I also looked at the landscape, and I hope this doesn't come off cocky or not, but I did not think there was a lot of people like me in the Nashville market. There's a lot of loan officers at stuffy banks. There's not a lot of loan officers that I think are providing the content, the value, and the experience that I am, and utilizing the technology. And so I felt that I could come out here in this market. We looked at a few different markets. What were the markets? Not only the state that we wanted to go to based on what we wanted within the state, but where were the markets I could go within the state that I think I could really stand out. And I can. I think the most visible agent in the market wins. Visibility looks a lot of different ways, but I'm really, really visible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was kind of the transition plan. And then, honestly, a bit of hope and prayer too, right? Like, sure hope this works.
You got to bet on yourself.
But we had the rental properties. We had the rental properties, the cash flow paid the, the minimum debt. We had great reserve situations and other investments. And so we felt that there wasn't a ton of risk to it in doing it. It was just a big transition for the family, but gosh, it's been the best. And then really it's just like it's picking up phones. I'm picking up phones and calling people, and I'm ready for no's and having the responses to get the yes.
Yeah. That's awesome. So,
does that answer that?
It does. And I'm curious if you would share a couple of your ideas for agents starting in a new market.
Yeah. So, okay. All right. So, I was in the Sacramento market. There was one office, Realty One. It's 600 realtors at Realty One in the Sacramento market. Greg McClure is a broker owner, a good friend of mine, one of the most innovative people in the real estate sector I've ever been around. Okay. 600 agents in Sacramento. There are a ton. There had to be at least 2 to 3 transactions per month of people that were moving to Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Had to be, right? Be the person that does those transactions. So I'm not seeing anybody that's coming out to Tennessee and then like we immediately think, or agents immediately think, I got to find new clients, and they think business to consumer. I think in that transition, you don't think business to consumer, you think business to business. And so let's say, the average referral fee is 20%, 25%. Do a 35% referral fee. Do a 40% referral fee. Bet on yourself that you're going to put those people into your ecosystem. 87% of customers at the close say, I will reuse my agent again. 11% actually do, because we have terrible follow-up. Bet on yourself to create a business out here by acquiring that initial customer, and offer a stagger, so the first one's 30 and then the second one's 40 or whatever, but have 5,000 agents that you market to on a regular basis for those relocations. And then have a system in place. Agents are usually having to chase down the person for the referral fee, right? If you get a referral, like update them every single week, create a process that you can repeat that people would want to be a part of and make it a pleasure to refer, and then go tackle that. I don't see agents doing that. And so that's probably how I would do it.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah.
I love it.
Business to business. Think business to business in that transition.
That's perfect.
That's very smart. That's very smart.
Very systemized too. You're also very systemized.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's where, yes, go do it. That's a really
we
good
talk
book.
about it.
There's a really good book. I think every business owner needs to read this book. It's my favorite book right now. It's called Traction. Gino Wickman wrote this book, Traction. And
I've got it right now.
It's so good. The EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, is amazing. Movement Mortgage, our corporate leadership, our whole company runs off EOS. It's amazing. And that book Traction is like literally how to take the concepts and implement it into your business. And we have to start with systems.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We talk about it all the time on this show about just following up and ways to add value to clients and just stay in front of them. And really, like, especially if you're doing this business properly, it's not hard to stay in front of your clients. And most of our clients become friends anyway, like the ones that we want to keep on as clients, right? So at what point don't you just,
follow up with your friends?
Follow up with your friends. Yeah. Like add value to your friends' lives. Like it's not hard.
No, it's not. I think, there's a couple things in there. One, I think it's a shame that people don't know what we know. And we think that people don't want to know it. And then I also look at the real estate agent. It's a very intimate relationship that they create with a customer over a very quick period of time. There's money, there's emotion, there's excitement, there's stress, there's anxiety, like it's all the things. And you're right there with them through that whole process. And I feel like a relationship, a friend, we don't have that kind of connection on the lending side with the customer. We typically don't.
Right.
Every once in a while we get that, but for the most part, we don't. You, the real estate agents, have it. And I think, at close, they've created a new friend. But then the agent is thinking, gosh, like, I don't want to bug them. I don't want to bug them. What am I going to call them about? And they're making all these excuses to bug these people. And then I wonder of over time, the clients are like, was it really a friendship or was it just a commission?
Right.
And both parties are just not communicating. The agent, It was a friendship, but you don't want to bug them. Like, call them and say hi.
Yeah.
Literally, how are you? And people will be appreciative and you will maintain relationship in doing that and then add value. So people have call reluctance because they don't see enough value in what they bring to the table. That's the only reason you have call reluctance. If you fully believe in the value that you bring to the conversation, you're not afraid of picking up the call or picking up the phone to make the call.
Boom.
That's
just
good.
like that. Just like that.
Sorry.
Gold left and right, Keith. Okay. The last thing that I kind of want to touch on with you is I know that there's no crystal ball, anything like that, but what do you kind of see as the state of the market for this year? I know that a lot of your content it's the year of the first time home buyer kind of thing, but tell us a little bit of kind of where your head's at on that.
So my buddy, John Downs, would be a really good person for you to bring on. He's probably one of the smartest guys in mortgage that I know. John Downs and DOWNS. He said this the other day, and I really think it's to be true. He said, people ask him, how's the market? Is it crashing? Is it getting hotter? Are rates up? Are rates down? Are there multiple offers? Are homes sitting? And he's like, it's all the things. It's all of it right now. And that, I think that's really true I don't really think that you can put one overarching theme on the market right now. It's very specific. There's a window for pricing. If you're in it, you're in it. If you're out of it, you're out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really think that the skill, your ability to buy a home in this market is directly related to the skill of your realtor. It's a thing. And I think that the agent that understands the local market is the one that's going to win right now. And so that's what we got to be focused on. I don't tell people I do mortgage. I tell people I'm in residential real estate. So when someone asks me what you do, I'm in residential real estate because everybody wants to talk about residential real estate. No one wants to talk about mortgage. Maybe they want to brag about their 2% 30-year fixed interest rate, but everybody wants to talk about real estate. And so I think being that person that knows everything about that local market is the one's going to win. So if you're thinking about how do I get business in the market, like you just need to know more about it. And then you need to share what you know with the people that you know, and you'll win. Overall, I think we have a savagely unhealthy inventory in the country. I don't know if you've seen those statistics, but 2008, there was 4.5 million homes available for sale. The 40-year average is 2.5 million, and we're under like 800,000 homes for sale. It is a seller's market by statistics, but everybody's acting like it's a buyer's market. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that changes is interest rates. That's it. And so I wonder, and I talk to buyers all the time, we're waiting for rates to drop. And I'm like, well, do you think you're the only person waiting for rates to drop? And what's going to happen when they do? So I don't think we're going to be back in the frenzy. I don't think we're going to be back in the frenzy. But I do believe rates are going to come down. Inflation is going to bring them down. It's the only thing that does it. And when that happens, I think it warms back up again. So I don't know if that answers your question, but those are my thoughts on it.
That's perfect.
I wouldn't hesitate buying a rental property right now, and I wouldn't hesitate buying a primary residence but if it was an investment property, the fundamentals have to work.
Mm-hmm. It's all a numbers game. I mean, it's all numbers. It's all, whether you're buying a primary residence, it's like, hey, maybe you could have afforded $900,000, a year ago, and now you can afford $600,000. That doesn't mean you stop buying. That doesn't mean you take your toys and go home. You buy the $600,000 house, you live in it, you figure it out, and like you find what works for you. You the investment property side, like you find what works for you. You make sure the numbers work. You run them a little more conservatively. And I was literally just talking about this yesterday, where you mentioned your local agent matters. I was just talking about this yesterday. I had within a matter of, I had a buyer close last week and I had a seller hit the market last week. The buyer, we went in and wrote an offer the very first day it came on the market. It was a pretty strong offer. And the listing agent said, no, we have 12 more showings lined up in the next 24 hours. Unless you guys come up a little higher, we're not going to accept. And I was like, well, I'm not bidding against myself. If you get another offer, like, let me know. And
I'm not bidding against myself.
It's true. I was like, I will bring the buyers back to the table. Well, Monday morning comes and guess who's blowing up my phone? Listing agent. Well, guess what, buddy? You didn't get any offers over the weekend. So now the offer went down another 10K and I added another 7K in concessions so that the buyers could buy down their rate. So they lost 17K because they didn't deal with the offer in front of them. And then I had a listing go live and we had like 25 showings lined up. Cash offer comes in strong. I countered them once, got them up a little bit more and said, I'm dealing with the offer in hand. It's, I earned my sellers an extra 15K and I earned my buyers an extra 17K. So it's like, understand the market, understand what's going on and deal with it, because you're right. By everything, it says it should be a seller's market, but then people are out here going, well, it's a buyer's market. So I can be, I could be really aggressive. And there's still that huge disconnect between buyers and sellers with what to expect.
Massive disconnect.
Yeah, like they're not even speaking the same language.
No, not even close.
Well, it's all about setting expectations at the end of the day. And it is. I mean, and it's really, there's a big disconnect in a lot of different things in the market right now. But even, I mean, and I'm sure this is probably happening in y'all's markets too, but the cute buttoned up properties are back in multiple offers, selling high over asking. And we have due diligence here, which is a non-refundable deposit. And we're seeing like multiple double digits back into the due diligence deposits again. But then there's other ones that have sat on the market for 90 days. So, all goes back to the local agent and, knowing your market, setting expectations, pricing, etc. in the right way. So,
and that's why if you get I had this amazing conversation with a real estate broker here, Charlie Peterson is another person you should bring on your show.
Okay, you can intro us.
Yes, with Tyler York. But it was really cool. He's built this brokerage out. He's got like 40 agents, and everybody's hyper. Like so if they already have somebody who specializes in one geographic area, he won't hire someone else that also specializes in that geographic area. Cool. And his whole thing is like, Zillow's not our competition, because Zillow can't do what we do because nobody knows this market here better than this person. And that's and that's where I think, if you're an agent that focuses on that we talk about all these companies coming in, Open Door, OfferPad, and Zillow. They cannot compete with you if you own that space. Mm-hmm. But if you're all over the place and you don't own your market and you don't own your brand in that market, then yeah, you are competing with Zillow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Beautiful. And totally. not always just like your geographic market either. Like it could be your type of client.
Correct.
Market as well.
Second homes, investment properties, all of it. Yeah.
Zillow can't compete with that. Zillow doesn't know anything about second homes or investment property. They couldn't do that if their life depended on it.
And your network and resources, right? It's all wrapped up into this gated community that you create. Gates are locked and you're the only one with the clicker.
Yep.
The clicker. I love it. Okay. Any final thoughts on that before we move into our final round?
I'm good. Unless you have anything for me.
Perfect. Well, we are going to move into our lightning round. This is just going to be a few random questions. We obviously gave you no prep on this. It's just going to be
you didn't. I saw the notes here. I'm like, okay, let's see what this is.
Like, what are they going to ask me? No, it's all fun. Okay. If someone gave you $1 million to spend on or in real estate, how would you spend it?
Hard money lending.
Cool.
I love that. I love that. If you could retire tomorrow, what would you do?
I would live on my farm.
All right.
I would have cows and chickens, and I would take care of animals and hunt and just hang out with my family. Like that's. Do
you have any animals right now?
I want to work. We have what?
Sorry. Do you have any animals right now on your farm?
I have 15 chickens and a crazy dog.
I love it.
Well, you can just sell eggs right now and you could retire
I'm
yourself
kinda
already.
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
it's
dude,
not,
yeah.
it wasn't the strategy going into this, but it's paying off for sure.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I would get 50, 100 acres. I would raise cattle and I would just, yeah, I would hang out with my family.
That's cool. I love
Mhm.
that. If you could sit on a bench and chat with anyone for 1 hour, dead or alive, who would it be?
Ooh, gosh, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Warren Buffett, Donald Trump, not because he was president, because of the real estate stuff.
Yep.
Jesus has to be in there for sure.
Okay.
You know, my grandpa, I miss my grandpa.
I like that one.
Yeah.
I love it. I love
like
it.
that one.
What's your ideal vacation in one sentence?
I mean, like Bora Bora on the beach. I mean, it's on the beach, toes in the sand,
There you go.
family around
That's
me.
a Cali boy.
Yeah.
There we go.
I mean, that's not a Cali boy. You don't have to, come on.
Yeah, Brooks, I love the
Hey,
beach.
I'm right there
Everybody
with you.
loves
Hey, I'm right there
everybody
with
loves
you. All
the
right.
beach.
That
Yeah.
was no shade. That was no shade. That's
Yeah.
that I'm right there with you. I will go
Yeah.
beach 100 times out of 100.
Yep. On the beach with my family around me.
Perfect. Your all-time favorite book that's not traction, if that is actually your favorite book.
All-time favorite book that's not traction, that's like business related. The Compound Effect is I think a really good book that everybody needs to read. Darren Hardy does a really good job with that book. And then, yeah, probably The Compound Effect.
Okay.
I love that. Oh, Purple Cow. The Purple Cow by Seth Godin. Love that one.
I've heard really great things about that book, but I have not read
It's
it.
cool. It's cool. It's really cool. It's like if you're in an open mind, like in your space where you can be creative, read that book, and that book like opens these ideas to creativity in your business. It's awesome.
I'm going to order it right when we get off here.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, our last question for you. If you lost everything except your knowledge, what would you do in the first 30 days to close a deal?
Close it like a home loan. Like, what do we mean by a deal?
Yeah,
Like,
home loan or an
Yeah.
investment property, either direction you want to go.
well, I don't know. Okay, yeah. So if I had to close a deal in 30 days, I'd hammer the phones. If I had my knowledge, I'd hammer the phones with customers and see who needed to buy and sell. And I would call 200 people a day. If that didn't work, I'd call 300, and I would just try to find a need and fill it.
Okay, perfect.
If
Simple
I had
as
to go
that.
close a home loan, yeah.
I love it.
What else?
I love it.
That's all.
I was going to say any parting advice. And we've already touched on the best ways to connect with you guys. For those listeners, remember his links are going to be down in the show notes. Instagram and is kind of one of his primaries. I can't remember. Sorry, hang on. I lost your.
Are you on TikTok, Keith?
I am not on TikTok.
Me either.
Not on TikTok, but
Yeah.
Instagram and
Good-
YouTube.
Good for you. Yeah, Instagram and YouTube is where is my primary source of kind of just putting
Yes.
content out there.
Yes.
Closing thought.
Okay.
You want a closing thought? So
Yes, please.
I did something that was kind of cool, and I'll get the thought within it. But I write down if I hear something really cool, like a phrase or a word, I just write it down, and I go each month through, right, and then I'll review the month and kind of those phrases. And there was one phrase that I heard that really got me through, the 2022, because I also have, we didn't talk about this, but I have 18 loan officers that work for me in the Sacramento market that I still manage. And it's been tough on them too. And so I heard someone say, I am not responsible for their success, but I am responsible for being significant in their lives. And I was carrying their success as a weight on my shoulders, as opposed to looking at, am I being significant in their life and providing them everything that they needed to be successful. And so if I had a closing thought, I think it would be that from a leadership standpoint. I'm not responsible for their success, but I am responsible for being significant.
I love that.
I've never heard
love
that. That's great. I think Brooks and I are both people who tend to fall more on the or previously had fallen on the, feel responsible for other people's success as well. So
Right.
I really like that.
Yeah. You can't want it more than they do.
We say that all the time.
Yes, we do.
Yep.
Yes, we do. Keith, I've been blown away today by your mind and getting to know you a little bit on a deeper level. Love that. Cannot wait to stay in touch with you. And for everyone listening at home, thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed this week's dose of the RE Junkies podcast, please subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. If you have a crazy real estate story or a case study submission or would like to be on an episode in the future, drop us a submission in the show notes, and we'll catch you junkies next time on the only real estate podcast of its kind.